I had everything. A penthouse overlooking the city, cars I didn't drive, jewelry I didn't wear, and a husband I didn't trust. My name is Victoria Ashford, and 3 months ago, I died. At least, that's what the world thinks. That's what he thinks. People always ask the same question when they hear about my wealth. How do you know if someone loves you for you? The answer is simple. You don't. You can never know. Not when you're worth $200 million. I met Thomas at a charity gala 7 years ago. He was a middle school teacher, volunteering his time at the event. No designer suit, no pretentious small talk, no agenda. Just a man who actually cared about the cause. He made me laugh that night. Really laugh. For the first time in years. We were married within a year. I thought I'd found someone different. Someone real. But money changes everything. It poisons everything it touches. At first, Thomas refused my gifts. He wanted to keep working, to keep his independence. I admired that. But gradually, things shifted. He quit teaching to help manage my charitable foundation. We had 2 children, Emma and Lucas, now 6 and 4. We moved into a mansion. He drove a Mercedes, and I started to wonder, was this always the plan? Was I just too blind to see it? The doubt started small. A comment from my attorney about prenups. A conversation with my accountant about asset protection. Stories in the news about wealthy women taken advantage of by charming men. Each seed of suspicion grew roots in my mind. I'd watch Thomas playing with the kids in our infinity pool and think, would he be here if I was broke? Would he have stayed with a struggling businesswoman living in a studio apartment? The question consumed me. It ate away at every tender moment, every loving gesture. When he kissed me goodnight, I wondered if he was kissing my bank account. When he said I love you, I heard I love your money. So I designed a test. The ultimate test. I would disappear, fake my death, and watch to see how long it took him to move on. How long until he started courting another wealthy woman? How long until his true nature revealed itself? My attorney thought I was insane. Victoria, this is extreme. If you have doubts, get a divorce. Get a postnup. Don't do this. But I had to know. I had to be certain. The plan was elaborate. A boating accident off the coast of Santorini during our anniversary trip. I'd slip away while Thomas was ashore with the children. The boat would be found capsized. My body never recovered, lost to the sea. I had connections, people who could make it look authentic. It cost me $3 million to stage my own death. I'd stay in a private villa in Croatia, watching everything unfold through cameras installed throughout our home, through credit card statements, through a private investigator. 6 months. That's all I'd give it. If Thomas remained faithful, grieved genuinely, and didn't immediately start spending my fortune on a new life, I'd reveal myself. We'd reconcile. The trust would be restored. If not, I'd have my proof, and I'd have my escape. The night before the accident, I held my children as they slept. Emma's small hand clutched her stuffed rabbit. Lucas snored softly, his face peaceful. I told myself I was doing this for them, to protect them from a father who might be a fraud. I kissed Thomas goodbye that morning. He smiled at me with those warm brown eyes and said, "Happy anniversary, Vic. These 7 years have been the best of my life." I smiled back and thought, we'll see if that's true. The first week was chaos, exactly as I'd planned. From my villa, I watched the news coverage on international channels. American millionaire presumed dead in boating accident. My photograph everywhere. The Coast Guard search. The grief-stricken husband giving a statement. Barely able to speak. Our children clinging to his legs. Thomas looked destroyed. But I reminded myself, he was a teacher. Teachers are performers. He could be acting. I watched him through the cameras. He didn't sleep. He wandered through our house like a ghost, picking up things I'd touched. Staring at photographs. He'd start crying suddenly, in the middle of making the kids' lunch, and have to excuse himself to the bathroom. Emma kept asking when mommy was coming home. The footage of Thomas trying to explain death to a 6-year-old nearly broke me. He held her so tight, his whole body shaking. "Mommy loved you so much," he whispered. "She would give anything to be here with you." I turned off the feed. The irony was too painful. My investigator reported daily. No unusual spending. No contact with other women. Thomas had hired a grief counselor for the children. He'd taken a leave of absence from the foundation. He barely left the house. "Mrs. Ashford," my investigator said during our second week's call, "I've been doing this for 20 years. This man is genuinely devastated. Whatever you're trying to prove, I think you have your answer. But I needed more time. 2 weeks wasn't enough. Grief is fresh then. I needed to see what happened when the shock wore off." By week 4, I watched Thomas return to some semblance of routine. He was getting the kids to school, attending their activities, trying to hold together a normal life. But he'd lost weight. His clothes hung off him. He looked 10 years older. He started visiting my grave, the symbolic one we erected in the family cemetery plot. Every Sunday, he'd take the children. They'd bring flowers. Lucas would chatter about his week, talking to my headstone like I could hear him. Emma would sit silently, tears streaming down her face. Thomas would stay after the kids ran off to play, kneeling in the grass, speaking to the stone. I had audio on the cemetery cameras. "I don't know how to do this without you, Vic," he said one Sunday. "Emma's having nightmares. Lucas keeps asking if he did something wrong, if that's why you left. And I can't fix this. I can't bring you back. I'd give everything we have, every penny, if I could just have one more day with you, one more hour." He broke down sobbing, his forehead pressed against the cold marble. I watched from 5,000 miles away, my hand over my mouth, something cracking inside my chest. Month 2 was when I started to see my mistake. Thomas's grief wasn't fading. It was deepening, transforming into something permanent. He moved through life mechanically, going through the motions for the children, but there was no light in his eyes anymore. He stopped eating properly. The housekeeper reported to my investigator that she was worried about him. He'd lost 25 pounds. He wasn't sleeping. She'd find him at 3 in the morning in my closet, holding my clothes, crying silently so he wouldn't wake the children. Emma began seeing a child psychologist. She was having separation anxiety, terrified that her father would disappear too. She couldn't sleep unless Thomas lay beside her bed all night. Lucas started acting out at preschool, angry and aggressive in a way he'd never been before. His teacher called Thomas in for a conference. I watched a camera feed of Thomas apologizing, explaining the situation. This broken man trying to hold his broken children together. And then I saw him with someone else. My heart stopped. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. A woman came to the house. Attractive, well-dressed. She stayed for hours, left late in the evening, returned the next day. I immediately called my investigator. "Who is she?" There was a long pause. "Mrs. Ashford, that's Sarah Chen. She's a widow. Her husband died 2 years ago. She runs a grief support group that Thomas started attending last week." "A support group?" "Yes, for people who've lost spouses. She's been helping him cope. It's not romantic. I've done full surveillance. They meet at the house because he can't leave the children with sitters. Emma won't allow it. Sarah brings dinner, helps with the kids, and they talk about grief. That's all. I watched them together. There was no flirtation. No chemistry, just 2 shattered people helping each other survive. Sarah would hold Thomas while he cried. He'd help her son with homework while she prepared food. They were friends, survivors holding each other up. One night, I heard their conversation through the cameras. "Do you think you'll ever move on?" Sarah asked gently. Thomas was quiet for a long time. "I don't think I want to." Victoria was everything. She was brilliant and difficult and funny and fierce. She challenged me every day. She made me better. I don't want to move on from that. I want to learn how to carry it with me. She was lucky to have you. "No," Thomas said, his voice breaking. "I was lucky to have her. I just wish I'd told her more often. I wish she'd known how much I loved her, how little everything else mattered compared to just being with her." I closed my laptop, walked to the bathroom, and vomited. Month 3 was when everything fell apart. Emma stopped speaking. Not selectively, completely. The psychologist called it traumatic mutism. She'd lost so much when she lost me that her mind simply shut down a part of itself to cope. I watched Thomas carry her to appointments, specialists, trying everything to bring her voice back. She'd communicate through drawings, through gestures, but not words. Never words. The doctor said she needed stability, routine, and time. So much time. Thomas quit his role at the foundation entirely, sold his Mercedes, bought a modest sedan, moved the family out of our mansion into a smaller house in a quiet neighborhood, somewhere the children could have a normal life without the echo of my presence everywhere. He wasn't spending my money. He was minimizing their exposure to it, trying to give them a simpler, more manageable life while they healed. He started teaching again, part-time, at a small charter school. He needed purpose, structure, something beyond grief. The children needed to see him functioning, living, even if he was just pretending. I watched him teach through the school's online portal. He was good, patient, kind, truly invested in his students. This wasn't a man who'd married me for money and then quit teaching for luxury. This was a man who'd given up teaching because I'd asked him to help with the foundation and return to it when he needed solid ground beneath his feet. Every night, he read to the children in their beds. He'd read my favorite books, the ones I used to read to them. Then he'd sit in the hallway between their rooms and cry quietly, thinking they couldn't hear. But Emma could hear. I could see her little face in the darkness, her silent tears, wanting to comfort her father but trapped in her wordless prison. I had destroyed my family. The truth was so clear now it physically hurt. Thomas had never been after my money. He'd fallen in love with a woman who happened to be wealthy. He'd built a life with her, raised children with her, and loved her completely. And I'd taken that love and murdered it to satisfy my paranoia. My investigator called me in week 11. "Mrs. Ashford, I'm resigning from this case. What you're doing is unconscionable. That man loved you. Those children needed you. And you're watching them suffer too. Prove a point that's already been proven 1,000 times over. If you have any decency left, end this." He hung up. I sat in my villa, surrounded by luxury I'd bought with blood money from my own family's suffering, and finally understood what I'd done. I hadn't tested Thomas's loyalty. I destroyed it. Because even if I revealed myself now, even if I walked through that door and said, "Surprise, I was testing you," what then? How could he ever forgive me? How could the children? I'd let Emma develop a trauma disorder. I'd watched Lucas's innocence shatter. I'd stood by while Thomas's grief nearly destroyed him. All because I couldn't believe someone could love me without an ulterior motive. The wealth had poisoned me, not him. Me. Act 5. The truth. I'm sitting in a lawyer's office now, 3 months and 2 weeks after my death. I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. Or fix the first one. I can't tell anymore. The lawyer, a woman I've never worked with before, someone outside my usual circle, looks at me with barely concealed disgust. I told her everything. I needed someone to know the full truth before I do this. "You understand," she says slowly, "that what you've done could be considered criminal. Fraud at minimum. Emotional abuse. Your husband could sue you. Take the children. You could lose everything." "I've already lost everything," I say. She slides papers across the desk. "These documents will establish a trust for your children, completely independent of you or your husband. They'll have access to the funds when they turn 25. Generous but not overwhelming. The remainder of your estate will be donated to a children's trauma charity. In your name. And my husband? You're leaving him $100,000 in a letter. That's what you specified." I nod. It's not about the money anymore. It never should have been. I've written the letter 17 times. The final version is simple. "Thomas, I'm alive. I faked my death to test if you loved me for my money. I was wrong about you in every possible way. By the time you read this, I'll be gone again. Permanently this time. Not dead, but out of your lives. You and the children deserve better than someone who could do what I did. The trust is for Emma and Lucas. Enough to help them. Not enough to hurt them. The way I should have managed everything from the beginning. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. I destroyed our family because I couldn't trust that love could be real. You were real. You were always real. Please tell our children their mother loved them, even if she didn't know how to show it. Don't look for me. I don't deserve to be found." "V, when will you deliver it?" I ask. "After you've left the country. Your attorney will receive proof of your new identity and location, to be held in sealed confidence unless legally compelled otherwise. You'll have no access to your previous accounts or properties. You're truly walking away." "Good." I sign the papers with shaking hands. Everything I've built, everything I've accumulated, distributed to people who need it more than I do. The children, the charities, anyone but me. The lawyer stands. "Mrs. Ashford, Victoria, I have to ask, Why not just go back? Apologize? Fight for your family? I've thought about this every day for the past month. Because Emma can't speak. Because Lucas flinches at loud noises now. Because Thomas looks like a haunted version of the man I married. I did that. How do I look my children in the eyes and explain that mommy was hiding, watching them cry for her, and did nothing? Children are resilient. People forgive. They shouldn't forgive this. I gather my bag. Maybe in another life, I was a better person. Someone who deserved Thomas. Deserved those kids. But in this one, I'm the villain of their story. The best thing I can do is let them heal without me. Epilogue. 5 years later, I live in a small apartment in Barcelona now. I teach English to immigrants. I make 30,000 euros a year. I'm not Victoria Ashford anymore. I follow them online, from a distance. Always from a distance. Thomas remarried 3 years after my death. Sarah Chen, the widow from the support group. It wasn't about money. She's a social worker. They live modestly, happily. She's good to my children. Emma speaks again. It took 2 years of therapy, but she speaks. She's 11 now, artistic and thoughtful. She paints pictures of a woman with dark hair who she says is her guardian angel. Sometimes I let myself believe she remembers me kindly. Lucas is 9. He plays soccer and wants to be a teacher like his dad. He's happy, whole. The trauma faded with time and love and stability. They're okay. They're better than okay. Sometimes, I walk past families in the park and imagine what it would be like to run into them. Would Emma recognize me? Would Thomas? But I never will. That's the price of the test. That's the cost of my paranoia. I had a dream last night. Thomas was holding me, and I was crying, trying to explain. I'm sorry, I kept saying. I'm so sorry. And he just looked at me with those warm brown eyes and said, I know, but sorry doesn't bring back time. I woke up alone in my small bed, in my small life, and realized this is my penance. Not poverty, not obscurity, but knowing exactly what I destroyed and living with it every single day. I had everything, and I gave it all away to test if it was real. It was real. He was real. And I'll spend the rest of my life knowing that the only thing fake in our marriage was me.